Welcome everybody to Mystick's MMOs. I am your host, Mistick Raven. All right, so another day, another build, yes, and another healer. Told you guys I wasn't going to let you down. Now today we're going to go over the Necromancer healer build that I have for you guys. This one is amazing. I really enjoy Necromancer healer. I am really surprised. I didn't know what to expect coming back playing a new class in this role. I always play every class as a healer from the get, and this was something I didn't regret at all. And I know you guys are going to enjoy this build as well because it is phenomenal. So let's go ahead and get into it, shall we? All right, so character sheet. We have 33,000 max magicka on the destro bar. On the resto bar, we're at 35. Now, people might think that's a little low, but actually, I kind of like where it's at. I'm a Breton. Now, you can go Argonian, you could go Khajiit, you could definitely go High Elf or Dunmer. But for this build, I specifically tailored it for the Breton, and it feels amazing with the Breton. I'll let you know how you can go ahead and sustain a little bit more if you wanted to with the other races, because those races can play Necromancer healer just as well. You just make some slight alterations. Now, you'll notice that my magic recovery is only at 2,220, but when we drink our potion, we're at 2,700. Now, typically, I usually like to go around 3,000 if I'm a different race, but if I'm a Breton, I definitely don't want to do that. The reason being, as a Breton healer, I'm getting cost reduction with Magicka Mastery. Reduces the Magicka cost of your abilities by 7%. With that taken into consideration, I can sit at the 27 comfortably and not even worrying about running out of resources. So, really nice, especially with the way I configured the build. You won't anyways. So, let's get into the sets. Okay, now, I guess I should do this too. I'm using the ritual. Everything has been designed to the ritual. Now, this gear is purple. If it's gold, then I'll get another, I'll get up to about 12%. But the ritual is where it's at. I am using Witch Mother's Potent Brew. I just like it a lot on my healers. If you want to go with Ghastly Eyeballs and drop a little bit of health, you could. But I actually wouldn't make that recommendation. I would actually stay with the Witch Mother's Potent Brew on the Necro, and I'll explain why. But yeah, definitely that's the way you want to go with the ritual. I've just abandoned crit healing. If you're a Khajiit now if you're a Khajiit, you would want to take the Thief Mundus, and you would want Precise Weapon on at least your resto. Even if you're running a charged destruction staff, make sure that you at least have a precise healing. Why? Because of your modifier for your critical healing. So the sets, no surprise, we're going to be using all rooms, but take a note. I'm using the all rooms restoration staff instead, not the destruction staff. The reason being, I can control where healing springs goes, just like on my Templar with my shards. Just like any other class, I want control. But you would be like, but Mistick, you can use the Necro ground ability for placement. Yes, this is true. I'm very much aware of this. When it comes to the enduring undeath. Here's the thing, though. The healing activation doesn't take effect unless I have a corpse. Now, yes, I can go ahead and use the Intense Mender, but I'm getting a lot more consistency with the HOTS with the Braided Tether. So I don't want to necessarily give up my Braided Tether in place for the Enduring Undeath. I much prefer the Braided Tether because I can keep HOTS up so high that I don't need a direct heal. But even if I were to need a direct, I still have the Combat Prayer. Yes, it's a line of sight, but the HOTS are so high, I do not need most of the time a direct heal. So it's crazy but good. So good. It's so good. So I want to be able to control placement, and that's why Healing Springs will proc the all rooms for the Major Courage buff. I can control the placement. Okay. So Restoration Staff powered with increased glyph. Okay. We went with the Vat Train Ice Staff. Now, I'm going to be using Ellie Drain on this healer, right? For Magic Steel. But what's really nice about the Vat Train is it can apply a status effect, like the Burning Status Effect. It has a chance because I'm using a charged staff. And because I'm using the Ice Staff, now typically I like Lightning on most healers. But with the Necro, I can afford to use an Ice Staff. Why? Well, because the Necro's Agony Totem applies the minor vulnerability on synergy, thus giving me the capability to use the unstable Wall of Frost. And this is why I wouldn't recommend going with a dropping your health, because your shield scales off of your health. So when you lay this, you will lay a shield that protects you and your allies from ranged projectiles. And thus, also, since it's charged, it will add the brittle status effect to all targets. Pretty good. Pretty good. And blocking costs magicka instead of stamina. With Trifocus. Really, really good. Really, really, really good. I really like the Vat Train on this build. Now, I'm also going to glyph this with reduced target weapon damage. So I'm going to keep an eye on, when the tank applies, and then do the light attack, apply. Okay. Sentinel, no surprise. This is infused Max Magicka Light. Robe of the Worm. So we're using the Worm set. Divine. We're also going to be using a heavy Divine scent. A Divine Allrooms. Divine Worm. Excuse me. Breachers of the Worm. Allroom Shoes. Now here's the trick. My Necklace of the Worm infused spell damage. I'm a Breton. I have resource management. So I can afford to put a little bit more extra spell damage into my jewelry, thus increasing my heal effects further. But I still do want one recovery arcane, and I still want some arcane to scale the max magicka. So we went 2 spell damage, 174, 1 double, and a recovery. That is where it's at. It's really good. I'm telling you, this is amazing. The Breton feels like he's made for Necro Healer. It's simply phenomenal. Now, if you were Argonian, you would replace this and this for potion reduction. Keep this arcane and go spell damage, because the reduction will boost up your resource pool when you consume. Okay, so that's really nice. All right, and then if you're a high elf, you would keep all arcane and then recovery. Same thing with Dunmer, and same thing with Khajiit. The only thing about Khajiit, you would change the traits and the Mundus, but everybody else could go ritual. Okay, really, 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 really good. Okay, let's get into the skills here. So we've already gone over it. Intense Mender. Okay, 10, 8, 1, 2 every 2 seconds. 10,000 health every 2 seconds. Drink the spell palette. And now we're almost at 12. Healing Springs over 2,000 every second. Combat Prayer, and oh yes, the Braided Tether. 28,000 health. While slotted, your healing done is increased by 3%, so you want to keep this on the main bar. Of course, inner light for scaling purposes, and our aggressive warhorn on the restoration staff. Back bar, the Ellie Drain with Vat Train on Necro. Gotta love it. Agony Totem. It's a CC and a synergy and minor vulnerability. AoE version, may I add. Unstable Wall of Frost. We've gone over this. Really, really nice. We're applying major status effects across the board and protection. That's very, very welcome, and that very much a welcome sight to most groups. Energy Orbs, of course, for our synergy, and another hot. And we're going to use Expunge and Modify, not just only to cleanse ourselves, but to reduce the cost of our high-end cost. Even though we do get a reduction as a Breton, this just sweetens the pot. Now, I do not use reviving animation. I have it, but I don't utilize it because why? I'm a healer. I don't want people to die and then have to res them. Of course, you can slot it in those situations that you anticipate people to die. But as a healer, the one thing you don't want people to do is to die. So, of course, we're using Reviving Barrier. Reviving Barrier is amazing once again for this setup. And it also has the passive into the support, which gives us extra recovery, which I need to unlock. But we'll get an additional recovery when we go ahead and unlock that. But yes, you need it. And the Mages Guild also helps us recovery. So you'll be over 28 on recovery on Potion and Breton. And if you're any other class, if you do it right, you'll have over 3. Or you can go over 3,000 because you want that arcane recovery. But yeah, definitely feeling it. I love this. I know you guys will too. Thank you guys for your continued support. Once again, we always go back to the basics. We go back to our roots. I started off as a healer. I'm not going to let my healing people down. I got you all day, every day. Once again, I'm Mistick Raven. This is Mistick's MMOs. And you all have a nice day.